Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Summer for those of you that are new here. So if you are new, please do subscribe if you enjoy this video. It means so much to me. Today I'm going to be sharing with you guys some knowledge on getting started in the hair industry for those of you who are brand new to being licensed or if you're thinking about getting into the industry. I'm in my 14th year behind the chair. I went straight from high school to hair school right at 18 back in 2005. And I took my state board and received my license in early 2007. And I've been at my current salon for the past 8 years. So if you're someone who is just starting out and haven't even picked a school to attend, my first tip would be to just focus on doing your research. What's your budget? What's the reputation of the school? I've worked with stylists who attended big name schools, mediocre schools, and really at the end of the day, everyone starts out nervous when they hit the salon floor and take their first paying customer. So if your dream is to go to one of the top name schools like a Nevada or Paul Mitchell, but you can only afford a community college type of program, don't let it get you down. In the end, the time you put in the salon has a much, much bigger impact to your career than where you went to school. My second tip is if you, like me, didn't think to try to get hired in a salon while in school for either assisting or working the front desk, I would ASAP try to find a salon that either has an assistant apprentice program or a single stylist in need of an assistant who's willing to teach and guide you while you're working under them. Someone who's willing to explain why this formula works over that one, how this cutting technique is more appropriate than the one you learned in school, and so on. I assisted for just over a full year, and in that year, my boss would have me formulate, ask why I would use that formula. She would always correct me if I was wrong and explain why. She'd have me do family members of hers and bring in my own clients and watch me do their hair. And she always constructively let me know what needed improvement and what I was doing that was great. If assisting is not an option for you, but you're also too nervous about trying to get into a more high-end salon to start your career or a booth rental type of salon, I recommend working at a chain style salon for a bit. I know when you get into hair school and get out, they're not the most ideal thought, but they do have pros to them that outweigh or at least balance out the cons. Often private salons, it's going to take you a little bit more time to build enough clientele depending upon your area or economically what's going on. And this is where chain salons really can be nice in those scenarios. They're known for their walk-in clientele, which means a steady income in your pocket. About a year and a half to 2 years into being licensed, I found myself taking a job at a hair cuttery. This was in the housing crash of '08. A lot of people were out of work, so I needed a place that could give me a steady paycheck while bettering my time and applications, perfecting my cutting technique, and growing a client base. All of those points were met in my time there, and after 2 years, I left with enough clients to float me when I took a job at a higher-end salon in my area while still earning a steady income, but also gaining a new higher-end client base, which still to this day, 12 years later, I still actually have some of those clients that I gained from hair cuttery because they've been loyal to me. My third tip is to put in the time. The salon that I got hired at after hair cuttery had over 20 stylists working. It was one of the salons to be at in the area in its time, and I knew if I wasn't willing to make myself available as much as possible, somebody else was and would get that client in their chair. I would work the entire weekend. Even in my hair cuttery days, I was doing 6 days a week. And a lot of times you sit around and you'll sit around for 6 hours, and on that 7th hour, maybe you'll get a client. Hair is not an industry that you're gonna get fat paychecks overnight. If you don't have clients, you don't get paid. So when you're building a client base, you need to be available as much as possible. When you're X amount of years in and making money you're content with, that's when you get to be more selective on your hours and time you want to spend at work. My fourth tip is try to not be so selective on what services you do and don't want to do in the beginning. If you know you want to specialize in a certain service, whether it be balayage, baby lights, a fantasy color, or even a certain cutting technique, definitely put a lot of your time into making that happen. Education, classes, model calls. But don't sleep on the bread and butter services that are going to keep you afloat while you make that happen. You can take on a client who just gets a basic level 5 root touch-up while still looking for the clients to get you to your end goal. My fifth and final tip is try your best to stay in one place. Early on in my career, I met a lot of salon hoppers. Clients like consistency and moving from place to place to place, especially when you're trying to build your client base, isn't going to help you. Obviously, certain circumstances can arise where moving salons is what's best, either a boss not paying you or the salon took a different direction that you weren't on board for. But I'm talking about moving salons yearly, more than once a year. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, and most likely what you don't like about your current salon, boss, or coworkers will most likely be an issue at any given time in your next place. It's really just how life goes. Try not to let the small things bother you. Know your role in the salon amongst your coworkers and clients, and always keep your end goal in the back of your mind. The hair industry can be such a fun and rewarding career, but like anything, if you're not willing to work for it, put the time in, and you think it's just gonna come easy, you need to rethink your mindset. So those are my 5 tips I like to advise anyone thinking about getting into the industry. Hopefully I was able to help any of you looking for some insight into the career. And just always remember to go for it. It's never gonna hurt you to try. So I hope this video helps. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys soon.